said, son, they think you're stupid. I told you that. Well, that would have been enough of a problem growing up. I want to tell you that. But you know what? I had some other problems. Y'all didn't notice I got buck teeth yet, but you will. When you're poor, they call them buck teeth. And when you're rich, they say it's just a slight overbite. But when I was a kid, my head was half the size it is now. You got to understand that my teeth were all grown up. And my friends used to say, you could eat corn through a picket fence. Nah, 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 nah. Every day people made fun of me until I was 20 years old, relentlessly. But you know what? I'm thankful today because it made me strong. I guarantee you one thing, you ain't going to steal my dream. I don't care if you're made of steel. I'll fight you all the way to the bank. Now, you see, having buck teeth, that's a little bit of a problem. On top of being retarded, that's just a little icing on the cake. And then y'all didn't notice I walk funny. You didn't pick up on that yet, did you? Like an orangutan, some people say. My one leg is almost 3 inches longer than the other. I was born that way. We never went to doctors or hospitals or anything, and so that's just the way it is. And you know, I had an uncle who despised me. I really believe in my heart, if he could talk my mom into aborting me, he would have, because he hated me. And you know, I never could understand why, but it doesn't really matter now. See, because he was in Amway twice and never made the 1,000 PV, and I'm a diamond, and... But anyhow, he is, you know, it depends on how much people liked you as to how they describe the way you walk. People who are particularly polite would say, you have a noticeable limp. Oh, really? If it's not noticeable, it's probably not a limp, is it, you moron? And then, you know, my uncle said, boy, you walk like you got a load in your pants. It always, they bug me constantly. And you know what? I took a lot of garbage over the years. I'm thankful today. Because you know that saying, if it don't kill me, it just makes me dangerously strong. So watch out. Well, I don't have a lot of time. I got to get through this pretty quick. But, you know, that would have been enough problems. Wouldn't you accept that's enough problems? I was tongue-tied until I was 22 years old. My tongue wouldn't come out past my teeth. I couldn't eat an ice cream cone because it would go all over my shirt. And you know, my parents never knew I was tongue-tied. It never occurred to them. But when I was old enough to drive a car, 16 years old, I had to get my ice cream, if we ever got it, which was rare, put in a dish with one of them little wooden spoons that drives your tongue crazy. And my 6-year-old sister got a cone. Now, you think that's not embarrassing? My mom didn't mean to put me down. She'd say, put Brett's in the dish. He always slops his shirt. Old enough to get married, got to eat it out of a dish. Well, when I got married, I had tongue surgery done. Y'all know what happens when you get married. And I noticed when I was kissing Fran, there were things happening on her end that just weren't going on over here. So I said, well, I better look into that surgery. So I got that surgery, boy. You ever bite your tongue a little bit? You know how it swells up? When they cut that bad boy and you're 22 years old, it gets big as that thing right there. And for 4 weeks, I thought, can I get something to drink? But you know, just one more thing to overcome. Oh, I didn't tell you, I was a real handsome kid. When I was 12 years old, I wore 18 chubbies. Y'all know what 18 chubby pants are? They're just for fat kids. They're a man's size 38 pant whacked off at the knee with a new cuff. If you want to get a picture of what I look like, walk out there like an orangutan. Yeah, that's what Fred and Linda had to work with. Now you tell me that your self-image won't be down. Oh, please, don't tell me that. But you know what? I always knew inside that I'm as good as any human being walking this earth because God made me, and you ain't one drop better than I am. And so, let me tell you real quick, I got a job at the light company when I was 17 years old, and so by the time I called Fred, one night I come home from work. I worked a 16-hour day. Hey, y'all ever work them long days? I come home from work. I said to my wife, I'm sick and tired of being poor. I'm going to call that rich guy. Fran said, Brent, you don't know that rich guy. It's midnight. If you call him, he's going to be very angry. Well, you know, my wife is from Croatia, her family originally, so in America I refer to them as foreigners. And because my dad's American Indian makes me native. Anyhow, I said to her friend, that's how you foreigners think. Let me tell you how we think. You just said it, I don't know that guy, but I'm broke and he's rich. I'm going to call him. If he gets mad, I'll hang up. He never will know me. And at midnight, I called Fred Artice. But I thought a butler was going to answer the phone. I had this whole thing rehearsed for the butler. Yeah, I had it rehearsed too. And the phone rang. You know when you're scared, it rings like, bah, bah. And this real soft voice said, hello, Artice. I said, hello, Mr. Artice in. He said, speaking. Oh, crap. And right there, my whole rehearsed thing was gone. And I said real fast, Mr. Artice, you don't know me. My name's Brett Daimler. I work harder than anybody you know. I know you're very wealthy. If you'd be willing to take 15 minutes out of your life, teach me how to be successful, I'll be dead to you for the rest of my life. Know what he said? I didn't catch that all. Would you repeat that, please? Yeah. So I repeated it. And anyhow, he said, well, young man, it's true I'm very wealthy. And it's true that my wife and kids and grandkids could probably never spend all the money I've earned. And I remember thinking, is this necessary? He said, and I can't promise you anything, but I'd be willing to have a cup of coffee with you and your bride. Now, right there was sort of the finishing touch. I thought, he is so classy. You ever have somebody say a word and you think, oh man, they're classy? Well, I was a redneck. Y'all know what a redneck is? In America, it's an uneducated misfit that relies on their strength and their mouth. And I was right there. Anyhow, but I had good manners. I was a well-mannered redneck. And so anyhow, when he said I would have a cup of coffee with you and your bride, I thought, you know what? Fred and I have been married 2 years. We've been fighting like hell the whole time. He'd have never called her a bride if he knew it. So that was it. And so he said, well, come over to my home Wednesday night at 8 o'clock, and I'm the second property on the right. And anyhow, my wife wasn't going to go, and I told her, Fran, he said you need to be there. You're gone. She said, I am not gone. You are gone. And we went through that. Anyhow, she fussed the whole way out. We get to this, and we're trying to find his house. It's like, y'all ever see Fred's house? It's big as Kensington Palace. And so we thought, well, that's probably a country club, but we'll try it. And we rang the buzzer, and they said, come on in. Now, you got to understand this. I was driving a two-door hatchback, a two-tone white and rust Subaru. It's a real tiny car, about as big as this podium. Gets good gas mileage, though. And so anyhow, we pull in this big circular driveway, and the worst car in that driveway was a Cadillac. The worst one. And his Rolls Royce with the angel on it. And the only part, I was going to park behind the dumpster. I thought all rich people had a dumpster. I was very disappointed to find out he didn't have a dumpster. And so anyhow, there's one parking spot left. It's on a little bit of a hill. I say, friend, I can't park here. If this thing jumped out of gear and hit that Rolls Royce, I'm going to be his slave. And so I pulled that emergency brake. They was standing straight up like that. The car was in the air on the emergency brake. And so we went in. And who do you think would answer the door at a house like that? Someone tall at least. This little whiffet, that big, Annie, 3 years old, she said, are you here to see my dad? We're like, we don't know what we're here for, you little whiffet. She said, sign in, go in the den. Where's the den? So she pointed us in the direction. Anyhow, we sat through the meeting. Nobody knew it. Everybody left. Try to picture that. Everybody left. Fred and Linda cleaned up styrofoam coffee cups, looked over in the corner, and we were still sitting there holding hands. Our hands were sweating. Fran tried to leave 30 times. I pulled her right back down. And there's nobody there. And Linda came over and she said, are you the kids that called the other day? And we were like, uh-huh. She said, oh my word, Fred, there are prospects. And then Fred came over and introduced himself. Well, let me get on this real quick. I said, sir, how much would it take for me to be successful? How much money would I have to invest? He said $85. That was the price of a kit in 1984. And he said, do you have it? I said, yeah, I have it. What I meant was I could borrow it by the time we see each other again. And anyhow, he got us started. Now I want to tell you something. Fred and Linda did not have much to work with. I want you to understand clearly. Don't tell me when I'm done telling our story that you can't be a diamond, okay? I'm going to slap you right upside your head. Here's the deal. We on the way in the door, Fran's digging me in the ribs. She said, Brett, this is the mafia. I bet they got dead people and 55-gallon drums. She watched too much TV. I said, shut up. She said, Brett, I'm telling you. I said, shut up. She said, Brett, Fran, for the last time, shut up. I'm going to find out how to get rich. Keep your mouth shut. So, anyhow, he decided to get us started. And I wrote him the check for the kit. And I said, sir, this check ain't no good. But it will be on Monday. He said, are you sure? I said, I'd never break my word. It will be good. I drove right to my dad's house. I said, Dad, I started a business and I'm already in debt. He said, what do you mean? I said, I need $85 to make this check good. He said, what kind of business you start for $85? Well, he had like $20,000 worth of tools to be an electrician. I said, Dad, there's this rich guy going to help me get rich. He said, I ain't loaning you nothing. I said, don't you trust me? He said, yeah, I don't trust that other guy. I said, I'll make it good even if he beats me out of it. That's how we started. So then we have our first meeting. Y'all remember having your first meeting? Your upline comes. You invite people. I didn't know how to invite people. Fred made me a little 5-minute table on how to invite. So I invited them. I had 8 prospects at my house when Fred got there. He drove his 928 Porsche. I'll never forget it. Pulled up. It's a dumpy little place we had, but I had 8 prospects there. So they were all rednecks, by the way. Fred walks in, and this one guy walked over to me. He said, what's this millionaire all about? I said, you're ignorant. Get out of my house. And he left. So another one, Fred's talking to one prospect. Another one come over. He said, what's this guy? I said, you know what? You're ignorant too. Why don't you just beat it? Well, by the time I kicked the 5th one out, true story, Fred was talking to one prospect, and this one guy said, well, won't we use it? I said, why don't you get out of my house? You're ignorant too. He said, what if I don't want to? I said, too late. I jacked his arm up behind his back and walked him to the door. But here's the problem. Fred seen me doing it, and I made eye contact with him. I seen him see me doing it. And I knew right then this is a problem. So when the meeting was over, they left, and he sat down on the couch. God bless him. He was so patient. He said, Brett, he closed that eye. Those of you that don't know Fred, let me tell you something. If Fred closed his right eye in the middle of a conversation, he is honked off with you. He said, Brett, how many people were here when I got here? And I thought, I remember thinking, my God, how do you ever become so successful? He can't even count to 8. Well, I didn't know back then that you don't ask a question unless you know the answer. Nobody never told me that. And so I said, 8? He said, how many did I show the plan to? And I thought, jeez, he really is bad in math. And I said, 3? He said, what happened to the other 5? I closed my eyes. I said, they left? He said, they have any help? I said, sorta. He said, what do you mean? I said, well, they were morons, Fred. Don't worry about it. Now, that is exactly how our first meeting went. So, you say, well, I'm really, I'm not posh like Pat and Jerry. Huh! I'll bet you're more well-cultured than I was. Because if I had my bow and arrow, I'd have taken all 5 of them out. But anyhow, we just didn't get a good start, okay? And I had a little bit of a reputation by the time my meeting was over. Fred and Linda must have been thinking, my God, how are we going to help these people? They kicked out 3/4 of their prospects before the meeting started. That never happened to Fred and Linda before. That was a first for them, and they were doubles. Well, anyhow, let's get right through it. You ever hear people say, well, I don't have good business clothing? Sure. My first meeting, I borrowed a suit from my brother because I didn't have one. They're all taller than me. And I had to roll the sleeves up on that suit. There was 4 buttons. I rolled up, there was just 1 button showing, and I put them straight pins in. Both arms and the pants, and them little boogers jagged me through the whole meeting. Just hurt. Let a little red ring around both my wrists and my legs. And I told my mom, I need a business suit, Mom. So she went to a second-hand shop and bought me a blue suit for $10. I went to the Goodwill. Y'all have Goodwill in England? It's like a really, really second-hand shop. And I bought 3 white long-sleeve shirts for $0.25 a piece. And I went profit-sharing direct in them 3 25-cent shirts and a $10 suit and made $60,000 bucks.